There's a controversial book out there. Have you guys been hearing about Sheryl Sandberg, CEO of Facebook, just wrote a book saying women don't have any power because we don't demand it, because we want to be nice. And that's a shame because the Earth Mother Goddess does not get the corner office. So I was thinking about this. I went to a Women in Engineering breakfast last week, and they called it a breakfast. I got there, it was like these little like light and livelies and like some granola. I was like, really? Because down the hall there was like the security investors breakfast. It was like all men and like waffles and bacon and shit. So I decided to lean in and get me some bacon, and I thought this is why like women are not successful, because we don't eat a good breakfast. And we want to be nice, and what made me think about, I was raised to be nice. I was supposed to be nice, and this became a problem. About 10 years ago I decided to do stand-up comedy, and I was in my 40s, and I was married, and I was a mother, and I was nice. Like, really nice. And I went to this open mic, is how you get started. It's this dark room in this Northeast Philly bar, and there were like 40 guys, and they were all like scribbling in notebooks and avoiding eye contact. And you know, it was scary for me, but I thought I'm going to put my name on the list. You know, well, not my name, a fake name. You know, I signed in as Rose Wild because I thought that would make me feel more powerful. And all these guys, I was like 99th on the list, and all these guys are edgy, like they're all like Seth MacFarlane wannabes, and it's like hour after hour of fisting and rusty trombones, and you know, I'm just like waiting for my turn, and you know, nobody laughed at my stuff because like I'm not edgy, like I'm as edgy as like a marshmallow bunny, you know, but I thought I gotta make these guys last, and so I would write, and every week I would go and I would try to make them laugh, but they didn't understand me, and I didn't know what to talk about with them, and they didn't know how to talk to women at all. I mean, like these guys, like, there was Danny, he was like all coked up, and he would like come over and he'd go like, oh, hey, Rose, you want to watch me pee? You know, and it was like, you know, and there was like John, he was like in his mid-30s, and he still hadn't figured out that he wasn't going to get the stripper to go home with him by reciting entire episodes of Scooby-Doo. And there was Steve, was the one I wanted the most. Like Steve was this guy, he was the edgiest, darkest, sinister guy. And, you know, he had the soul of a poet and the liver of a hepatitis patient. I wanted him, you know, it's that nurturing mother tortured soul syndrome, and I just wanted to make him laugh. I just wanted to, and he would look at me, he's like, women aren't funny. Rose, you're not funny, you know, and that was the general sense. So what happened was, there was this, before Facebook, there was like a Yahoo group where people would post, there was these drunk Philly comics, and I was sitting there one day and I invented this character, Mr. Dribble, because now my alter ego had an alter ego, you know, and Mr. Dribble could bust balls, like Marjorie couldn't bust balls, Rose Wild was nice, Mr. Dribble was a whole different ball of wax, and it was scary, like my hands would literally shake, like every time I wrote "you suck" or drew a penis on a headshot, like it would just be shaking. But Mr. Dribble, like every time he would post, or I would post, people would like get all excited, there'd be all these flurries, and Mr. Dribble, Mr. Dribble could throw down, you know, like I couldn't, but Mr. Dribble, like something, Mr. Dribble, what's wrong with you? And I'd be like, hey, lose the sideburns, Jason, you look like you're fighting for the Confederacy. You know what I mean? Mr. Dribble could bust balls, and every time Mr. Dribble would post, there'd be all this flurry. Everybody's like, Mr. Dribble's the funniest thing in Philly, and they didn't know who it was, and there were contests, it was like the talk of the town, and who was the real Mr. Dribble, and everybody had theories, who was the real Mr. Dribble, and I wasn't one of the theories, like I wasn't even on the list, and I was in the open mic, and I was talking to Steve, remember the, you know, suicidal Steve, and you know, and he was telling me Mr. Dribble had to be someone, and I was like, And he goes, do you know who Mr. Dribble is? I said, yeah. And he said, who is it? And I leaned in. I grabbed his face. I said, open your eyes. Open your fucking eyes. And he leaned in and he kissed me on the mouth. I'm going to say it.
Say it, exactly.
It would be easy to say these guys were pigs and they were blind and they were stupid and they didn't appreciate women, and that's true. But the other piece of it is